Well, good morning, everybody. I'm going to do a little CodeWars training with some JavaScript. We're going to look at CodeWars again today. So it's a great tool for giving you a little practice, a little training for your skill set. They've got a lot of great languages listed here. They have even more below, and we're working on getting CFML added. And thanks to KAZK, however you pronounce that, he's been working hard on the CodeWars issue for getting Cold Fusion added, and it looks like it's ready for deploy. So pretty excited about that. But today we're going to work on some JavaScript. So I'm going to look at this one here, a very simple one. It's called odd or even. So given a vector or an array of numbers, we're going to basically go through, figure out the sum of all the numbers, and if it's odd, we return odd. If the sum is even, we return even. So let's get to it. Okay, so we have a excuse me. So we have a function here called odd or even. It gets an array, and then we need to return odd or even. So let's just return odd and see what happens. We should pass a couple of tests here. So we got a couple. If we return even, we should get the opposite. Okay, so these are some random tests. So here we go. So interesting. So what we have to do is go through this array, figure out what the sum is, and then decide what to return. So let's do it the old school way first. Let's do a couple of different ways today. So let's do sum equals 0 to start with. And then we're going to do for I. So we'll do I for the index in array. Then we're going to loop through that. And then we're going to basically do sum equals plus. And we're going to do array I. Okay, and then at the end we'll have a sum. And so really old school, we're going to do if sum. Now we need to do a mod. I always forget how to do that in JavaScript. So if we do, is it 2? Or is it, I think it's just percentage sign. I'll have to check this out. I forget. So let me just do, Googling is fair. So mod in JavaScript. Okay, so modulus, yep. So if we modulus of 2 equals 1. So if the remainder is 1, then we're going to return odd, else return even. So let's see if this works. Ooh. Interesting. Let's see. So the edge tests passed, the even tests failed. I wonder if it's because of they have a special clause here. So negative even test passed, normal even test failed. Interesting. So let me cheat here and do console.log the array. I'm kind of curious what they're passing us here. So let's see. So let's see. Huh. So only getting a 5. Sometimes the shortcuts break. Okay, so the minus messed us up here. How would that get even? Oh, the modulus. So we need to probably do the absolute value. Interesting. I gotta remember how to do absolute in JavaScript. Math.abs. There we go. There we go. Okay, so there's actually more logic in there than I thought. So, old school way. We'll get rid of the logging. We don't need this anymore. Okay, so we start with sum of 0. We go through adding them up, and then we check the sum based on some basics here. So I wonder if this is actually required now. It might not have even been an issue. There we go. Okay, so that's one way to do it. This is sort of the old school way. We just basically have an index that increments as we go through. So let's try and make things a little better here. So why don't we do array.reduce, which takes a function, and we should be able to just do a comma b, use a fat arrow function, and then it's basically going to return a plus b. So basically we're going to get the running value and the new value, and we want to add it together and return that. And so this should allow us to get the sum instead of doing all this work. So let's see if this still works. Oh, we got to pass in it. That's right. So we have the function here, but we also have to have a starting value for it. So a reduce takes a closure, which we're doing a cheap fat arrow version, and then an initial value. So let's run that. Aha. So that looks pretty neat. So now what we need to do is figure out a way to make this even smaller, right? Because we're going to play some code golf here. Let's try and be a little more functional. And usually one of the ways I like to do it is to remove a variable if I can. So what we can do is try and use a ternary operator. So we can return. So this is going to be our logic here. So this is our if statement. And so we're going to return odd based on this. So we're going to do math.absolute of our sum here. I wish I had rainbow brackets so I could see how many brackets I had. And then we want to do the modulus here. So I think it's there. We'll get some errors, I'm sure, if we don't get it right. So we're doing math.absolute of our array.reduce. And then if that's true, we want to return odd. Else, we want to return even. Now, I would say that is a better solution for functional programming, but that reads so terrible, don't you think? So let's see if it works. I wonder if I get enough brackets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Should be good. Let's try it. Oh my gosh. So there we go. So that is a better solution, the most functional version there is I guess the other thing you could do is actually make, instead of having this, we could actually make this a constant, not a function, and then have a variable which equals a fat arrow function. But I like to at least have a function set up here. Let's attempt this by submitting it, and we'll see, and then we'll look at some of the other options. But just because you're playing code golf, where you want to have the smallest, slickest function, doesn't mean it's the most readable. And so, even though you can do this, I would usually break it up some. So, even if something is similar as like this function here, maybe take this reduce function out and then call something else to do that, like have a sum function and you pass in the array and it does the work, so at least you can tell the absolute of the sum is doing something. So, well, let's try that. So instead of doing all this work, why don't we just do sum array. Okay, so now we have math.absolute of the sum of the array and if it's modular or not. So here we can create a function called sum, which takes an array, and we can return array.reduce. So now let's see if that's a little more readable. It is. So it's more readable. So we could make this even better. We could make a function called absolute sum, absum. So now we're summing the array and getting the absolute value, and then we're modularizing it. So let's run that. Oops. Did I not get rid of enough here? Yeah. Too many parentheses. So now this here is way more readable, right? So this is my approach. If I'm going to do functional programming, it's great, but sometimes to make it more readable, you want to refactor things out to something that makes a little more sense. And now when you look at odd or even, you're like, oh, the absolute sum of this array is at odd or even. That's pretty easy. And then here you can see how we figure out what the absolute sum is. So let's attempt it here and see what happens. Looks like we passed them all. So I'll submit that. There we go. Okay. I actually was very satisfied with that kata because it made me think a little bit more with the absolutes and everything too. So that was pretty neat. The negative numbers did mess me up a little bit here. So, okay. So the add or even, this is basically what we had here. They shortened the array to ARR, and then they didn't have any spaces here. But they also took away the equals 1. Because if you have a modulus 2, it's truthy, so truthy you could do true as this, false is even, so that would have been an even better way to improve ours. Here's sort of the old school way, similar to what we did without any formatting there. I like this one, it's clever. But yeah, and then this one here is, I told you if we wanted to use a fat arrow function here, we can just declare the function with a fat arrow function, and then basically have your function inside of it automatically returns. So it's pretty clever too. And then if we want to compare with our solution, we can click this button here. This is pretty close. Obviously we had 2 functions, so anyways. Okay, well I hope everyone enjoyed that and got to see a functional setup and how to change things from old school to more modern. Hope you guys all enjoyed it, and we'll see you Monday. Bye.